comfortably, then we'll begin.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Uncalled For. We have a great show planned for you tonight. I am so excited about this one. We've been waiting for this for a while. We've got the settlement of Fox News and Dominion that we're going to be going over tonight, and the next lawsuit that they might be going into next. So this should be a lot of fun. Sorry about the dryer in the background. I have to have Matt's clothes ready for tomorrow.
It kind of goes with that great opening, though. That was a great way to rock it in. Kind of celebratory,
Absolutely.
wouldn't you think, Amy? There's finally some movement in the direction
Absolutely.
of, oh, you're going to give out wrong information, misinformation. You're going to try to damage them, like a little bit of it. Smack, 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 smack. There goes your wallet. Okay. Almost,
Exactly. Gonna
almost as
cost you.
fun as Alex Jones. But yeah,
I
almost.
know.
Actually, this
Almost.
one's bigger. This is one of the
One of the
this
big ones.
well, this is bigger than Disney and the pink slime suit. Like they got away with just a few million on that one. This was 787.
I
Yeah.
know. So that shows you just how big the lawsuit was
Yep.
beforehand. So this is going to be so this is going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to reading all about this one and learning more about what's been going on and everything. So plus it looks like they have another lobby coming up as well.
There are quite a few for this whole thing about the election. Like it's wide reaching, mostly in the media for everybody that's talking about it. You know, the other company from the UK, Smartmatic, I believe, if I said that right. Or that one is huge. It's double what Dominion asked for, the larger company. Remember, Dominion was a newer company, you know, much smaller, wasn't out there, like was making strides, very well known. Which is why it was so important, I think, to them to sue for this, like really sue. They were going to go to the wall for it because their livelihood was in jeopardy. If this misinformation and this lies about their equipment, their techniques, their technology in general was allowed to stand, they wouldn't be in business. They had every, especially when there was no evidence to what anyone was saying. Well,
Exactly. Exactly. And if you allow things like that to stand, that's just craziness.
I mean, defamation aside, that company is pretty kind of like screwed anyway now because it's been put into the mind of the American people, and they just won't trust them anymore.
Well, yes and no. It depends. I think personally, it depends on the results of the Smartmatic. If the other voting company comes out and wins also, I think that takes a lot away from Fox News. I mean, we could just call them FAW News now, like FAUX instead of Fox, because there's nothing newsworthy coming out of there. And if the whole year of 2023 hasn't proved that to you already, because historically, let's just say one of their lawyers was up there, their lawyer commentators, and just got sanctioned, you know, from the bar for every statement they made in regards to the election, 10 times over. A fine for every single statement they made, proving that they were misspeaking and supporting an agenda that just doesn't exist. The thing with this lawsuit, Amy, is it's all public now. Just because they settled doesn't make it go away. All those emails, all those depositions that were taken from their own anchors who said, we knew it wasn't true. We said it anyway. So many of them said that in black and white in the depositions. They really didn't have any choice but to settle. When the people actually speaking on it were saying, we knew it wasn't true. We didn't believe it, but we spoke on it anyway. And admitted to the pressure they felt from small organizations that were just signed on to the agenda without checking facts, going live every half hour on it, stealing their thunder. They were more worried about people not watching them than what they were saying. And
Exactly.
And I can't believe that, you know, like DK said, yes, Dominion's going to take a hit. But if you look at the percentages, they're only 1% the size of Fox News as a small company. This was do or die for them. They just won $787 million lawsuit, which is 5,000% their profit that they've ever earned of their best year.
Wow.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. Well placed there, Mr. Dawson. Yes. Don't I look good with all that money all over me? Yeah.
Lovely.
But yeah, 5,000% is what they got as far as profit. So
5,000%.
DK, if their reputation took a hit, they've got plenty of money to work on maybe a different kind of technology to go in a different direction to be a different kind of company if they want. I
Well,
think
I mean,
that, yeah,
well,
I think they'll be okay.
I'll say one thing. If there's anybody from Dominion here right now in the chat, hit the super chat button. You know, send them a few quid to spare,
Oh,
and
okay.
and especially Fox News. If you're watching, definitely super chat
Yeah.
because otherwise we might say something nasty about you.
Yeah, or if you're looking for any help, Dominion, you got a whole crew
extort you.
here. You got a whole crew here. Amy and I could do PR, Dick can push the buttons and DK could do all the special effects. Like, let us be
Yeah.
your American team over here. We'll get you some jobs. We'll work on that reputation for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can make shit up.
Mm,
Exactly. And we always have, I mean, it's been around for years that
mhm,
Fox News has been known as faux noise for a long time, and it's really bad.
yeah.
Well, and you have people who are like Tucker Carlson, who has been spreading misinformation for a long time. They couldn't get him on the medical misinformation, but now they're coming back on the voting misinformation because it is
Mhm.
defamation against companies that they're destroying their livelihoods and and all the ties that they had to former dictators of other countries, and this isn't good. So this shows you that, yeah, you could still say what you want. Again, so it doesn't affect the freedom of speech. You're free to say what you want, but now you're seeing that there are consequences to your actions. And if you spread misinformation and you defame a company or someone, well, there you go. so, so just remember that you're free. It only stretches so far, and
This is
nothing is
true.
ever absolute. Thank you very much, Faux News.
Yeah, this was a mock-up from Mocking Media. I asked him for a meme when we were talking about Dominion. Definitely, that should be their new channel logo, don't you think?
I love it. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
We do misinformation best could be their new
Yes,
slogan.
right. Yeah. Mhm. We corner the market and pay for it. Misinformation. Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm
Exactly.
surprised at this point they haven't just turned into flat earthers.
Who says they're not? Have you listened to any of them? I would suspect that they are actually. Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised either
Mhm.
because I was surprised at how many flat earthers there are on Truth Social.
Mhm.
When I very first signed up, I wanted to go in there and see what was going on in there. And 5 minutes after I had finished signing up and getting in there, after the app kept breaking 6 times, but we won't go into
Mhm.
that. But
You know what? That kind of goes with the statistics. I just read. I wish I had the article in front of me. I just read one of those psychological studies that actually said the belief in one conspiracy theory almost always leads into the belief of many more. It makes you more
oh,
susceptible
absolutely,
for
it
all
does.
the other. So yeah, like if they were going to believe all that,
Absolutely.
they're going to go over there. Of course, there's going to be more and more of it.
Exactly.
Because like
Exactly.
they believe the first conspiracy, Trump was a good businessman, like during the first campaign. As soon as they believed that, that's it. It was over with. Like they were, they're gonna believe in Martians and all the other stuff too now.
Exactly.
Mhm. Yeah.
Should we put old Tucker here to the lie detector and see what happens?
Yes, please.
Oh my God, Tucker's gonna break the machine. Yes.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah. Isn't that his middle name? Yeah. That's his. That was. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. He's a peach.
I thought you were going to play the Hank Hill.
Mm.
I know.
Oh, I should have. Here.
Too.
You want me to finish with that? That would be so good. Okay, hold on.
Yes, it would, please.
Let me get us out of the way here, and we'll just give him the full
Loser!
beans.
You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
Yeah.
Oh
It-
my goodness.
That
That's too
brings to
funny.
mind
I
a
love that.
question. Amy, what do you
Hmm?
think? Do you think there's anything in the employment contracts of all of this, let's say the anchors or the people that were doing the speaking for Fox News on the air, the ones that gave the depositions, do you think there's any blowback going to happen on their employee contracts or restitution to be made for the 787 million they now have to pay because of that?
Ooh,
You know,
I wonder. Hopefully they themselves, when they were negotiating their contracts, hopefully they put protection clauses in there for themselves, because if they
well,
didn't, oopsies.
I know, oopsies there, because it's bigger than that. First of all, the first one to put the nail in the coffin was Rupert Murdoch himself.
Yes, he was.
Okay, his deposition nailed Fox to the cross. Done. They were over
Right.
with at that
Yeah.
point because he wouldn't lie. He just thought he's just going to say whatever. He said the truth. He thought he was untouchable. Okay, and he just said whatever. He said that they didn't check the stuff, that it was good TV. They're an entertainment company, all that other stuff. Well, basically that they didn't check anything, and that he did know what was going on. After the lawyers had already filed affidavits that said that he was not actively participating in show production or anything like that, basically contradicting his actual title. Right in his title, it says active. But and then in his job descriptions, it says the day-to-day negotiations and this, that, or of all the material that's done. He has a very active role in it, and they were able to prove it. But the lawyers really didn't back check enough because they actually got admonished by the judge, clearly. Told them that, sorry, oops, I didn't know, or omission, that's still a lie. You still lied in court. You still presented evidence that wasn't true. Like, there's going to be something done about that. I'm sure there'll be another inquiry with their bar about that. The judge can sanction them after admonishment. He was very displeased about them lying right to him in regards to Rupert Murdoch's role at Fox in what he had to do with it. So it's going to go farther. We still have the shareholders, Amy. Have you thought of that?
That's true. They're not going to be very happy at all.
Okay, Rupert's statement alone put the profits for Fox News in the toilet for God knows how long. Like, the shareholders will have something to say about that. Because the fact is, the Murdoch family doesn't own everything straight out. It is 60% shareholder, 40% family. They got an issue here. They put everything at risk. They came in, they admitted what they did. They put all the profits for the year at risk, especially half the profits of the year are gone with just this settlement. And now it's written that they settled. A judge put on file that everything they said about Dominion was a lie and they knew it. That's on the record. Every single lawsuit gets to use that. The
Yes, they
judge
do.
said,
That's
we're not here to decide whether they did it or not. They did it. They lied. Settle how much they're going to pay. So before they got to that with the jury, they settled and made their own payment. But there was no doubt they were going to pay one way or the other. Once the judge said, we don't have to decide whether they did it anymore, the evidence they provided themselves in the deposition proved they were guilty of defamation, period. That right there. They were just going for how malicious were they about it? How much are they going to have to pay? That's all the jury was going to have to decide. So the settlement was their best option.
It was their best option
because they could
have gone
control
to
the
billion.
amount and the face of how they did it,
Exactly. And they could have gone, if the jury decided that it was malicious enough, they probably could have gone into the north of $1 billion. And as far as so they were small, I think. That's what I think anyway.
Well, they got the only control they could get back of the story, which is what you want to do. If you're going to be on the L end of it, if you're going to be the loser, at least try to control the narrative a little bit, But Mm.
Exactly. Exactly. So that was interesting. So yeah, so we do have a poll going. It's so I'll read it out, and I think everybody should vote, please, if you can. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But I think it's funny, and it says because Mitch Ashdown had asked, "Do you predict Fox ratings will go up, down, or stay the same because of this?" So it should be
Well,
interesting.
Yeah.
Thing is, I'm questioning that poll because I've seen some ballot stuffing going on there. I don't know. Don't know if I can
Ballot
trust this
stuffing.
poll.
I don't know. No, ballot stuffing. It's just not enough information there for me because, like, if I think it goes up, it's going to go up because people are going to look for gotcha moments. They're going to be looking at everybody trying to like write down what
Good
they're
point.
giving misinformation about, and then just
Mhm.
like that. I want to know how many people are going to loyally watch like it's a news source. Like if you actually still think it's a news source when
Or
they're
how
in
many?
court.
Yeah.
They're in court saying we're just nothing but talking heads. We're an entertainment company, people. We're just going to go with whatever the story is. They're not
Right.
news anything. Like,
Well,
They're just
interesting thing.
commentary.
Yeah, but I got a question about it because,
Mhm.
and obviously I don't watch Fox News. I don't get it over here. But
Mhm.
Right.
all I ever see about Fox News is from political commentary. It's like people just talking about the shit they're saying or
Mhm.
whatever. Do they do anything else? I mean, do they just report on just normal life stuff, or is it all just um,
I don't
cat?
watch it 24/7. I've never bought political commentary bullshit and actually the selling of a particular agenda
Mhm.
through and through.
Right.
Um, a little bit different than what is that? OAN, that network, right, Amy?
Right.
Sometimes they will throw in some world stuff and some actual news that's going on, but all the politics is definitely skewed to one side. Totally.
So it's a
Absolutely.
Yeah.
so it's a propaganda channel then.
I personally would call Fox News faux new a propaganda channel. I think they
Mhm.
just
It's
proved it.
like the National Enquirer, but on television.
Yeah.
Yes.
They'll just say anything they want to. They don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Exactly.
Aliens ate my hamster.
mm-hmm.
Exactly. And this
Mm.
is and this is what, sort of what was wanted with the last administration. I won't say too much about that, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much what it was going to be sort of like an arm of that. And it's not good. And then but if you lie about things, it's going to be found out and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to bite you in the bottom. And this did.
Mm-hmm. Well, it reminds me of how we got here moment prior
Mhm.
to the last presidency, prior to even that campaign, and how that got a little out of control. Was the stripping back of the regulations that made people responsible for how they were reporting when they were journalistic in news? The penalties and the SEC guidelines and all, a lot of that got stripped back over the 5 years before that. And Dick, you probably know what I'm talking about here. They had all kinds of things
Mhm.
about how you had to present stuff. You really, if you presented yourself as news or journalism or any type of media that was distributed that way, like a magazine, articles,
Yep.
like that wasn't actually classified as commentary entertainment, you had
Right.
strict guidelines of kind
Damn
of like
right.
the Moreau thing. Like if it wasn't true, you
Mhm.
didn't say it. If you didn't check the facts, you didn't say it. All that
Right.
got
Yep.
stripped back. All that got stripped back, which made it such a hot plate for the type of campaign and stuff that we saw. Didn't matter what anybody said.
Exactly.
Nothing has to be true anymore. They're allowed to say whatever they want. And people could say, well, that's not true. And they can actually say, so what? What are you going to do about it?
Mhm.
There's nothing
Exactly.
you can do about it unless they cause you damage, like they did with Dominion, which could be provable when they make it a target and they don't know what they're talking about, at least the court system. But the average person who got attacked during campaigns and on the media doesn't have the money to go sue these big entities, do they? They don't have the
No.
money to come out and take them down the way Dominion just did. Hopefully this will at least show that it's possible and more people will think about it.
Mhm.
because it's
Exactly.
not gonna stop. I mean, the only thing that makes anybody stop doing it is when they cost them something, and hopefully
Yes.
half of their profits for a year will be at least give them pause.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
exactly. It
I mean, it's
should.
not going to give Murdoch any pause. He don't care. I think he's done with Fox, to tell you the truth. Has anybody else noticed reporting over the last like at least 6 to 8 months that he's kind of been backing away from? He ain't supporting anything they're doing here and there. It's almost like he gives them zingers to throw
Huh.
them under the bus. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they will be the
Weird.
scapegoat for everything else he's done until he gets away with all the other stuff. I don't know. If he taught if he tosses them Fox News, like puts them on the sacrifice for everybody
Yeah,
to persecute, they'll stop looking over here and over there, But
exactly.
yeah.
They'll be too focused on one thing to
Mm-hmm.
notice
Yeah.
him slinking away in the background. Yeah, exactly. And that's what
Mm,
I'm thinking too.
yeah.
But yeah,
Mm, mm,
it's been interesting. And I think mostly what's going to happen, I don't see them having big jumps either direction. I think what you're going to see is a lot of the loyal people doubling down and just
mhm,
hanging on. And well, look, they're persecuting him, just like the conspiracy theorists that we talked about earlier.
mhm.
And they're just going to double down and say, see, this is proof that they're going after them, and they're going
Well,
to say it, and
and look at
even
them.
though, yeah, and
Their
they're going to.
demo doesn't like to change. They form habits and they're not going anywhere else. They're not going to trust anybody else. Period.
No, they won't. No,
Yeah.
they won't. And they're just going to double down, and they're going to say what we were
Mhm.
saying all along too about how, look, they're hitting them with the freedom of speech thing. They have a First Amendment right to know this stuff. They're going to do that, even though it's wrong. But hey,
Mhm. Yeah, but
so it should be interesting.
you don't get to change that sentence to freedom to lie my ass off. It's not that. It's freedom of
Right.
speech. I mean, for opinion and commentary, yes. But opinion
Hmm.
to lie and repeatedly lie and lie and lie to do damage to others. No, there's no freedom in that. Now there's payment for that. There's going to be a bill,
Exactly. The
at the end.
consequences to that.
Yeah.
You know. So those
Mhm.
liars out there, they need to pay attention.
Some of them don't care. Like,
Nah,
look
they
at
don't.
the pillow man, Amy. Like, gee, like
You know.
he didn't care. He don't care. It's like, he don't care. I have evidence. I will show you. I can prove it. And then he puts money behind it. He says, okay, I will give anybody $5 million who can debunk my evidence that Dominion is this bad. Well, it got
Yeah.
debunked. It got debunked like really big. Then he
It did.
refused. He refused to pay.
You gotta love it.
I know. Well,
Yeah,
he's
Uh,
made
he
some crazy out there claims too. He's
then he wonders why he gets sued and wonders why everybody was on the sewer side and he has to pay the 5 million. And he's like,
You know,
he doesn't understand.
I was having this conversation the other night about all the fucking lies in the world. I was sitting there having the conversation, with Brian May and bloody, the rest of the members of Queen, but all bloody liars.
Hey, Dick, get that invoice ready for DK. There's our first profit for the night. It's $25, DK.
Oh my god. Yes, apparently, from what I
Brian
understand.
says hey. Brian says hey, by the way.
Oh my
There was,
god, that's too funny.
there seems to be a chat about Jesus saving him in the Mike Lindell or something like that. So let's see if we can drum up support to get
Holy
Jesus
Spirit,
to save him.
activate.
Oh, no.
Holy
Oh, no.
Spirit,
Oh, no.
activate. Holy Spirit, activate. Activate. Activate.
I don't think it worked.
I
Let's
don't
look
think
and
I don't
see.
think Jesus knows what a pillow is, let alone be a fan. I don't think so.
No, if it's not Jesus, you've got that other button. Could it be?
Oh, could it?
Could it be?
Could it?
Jesus or Satan? It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah. I vote
Someone's
more.
going to get him.
I vote more for Satan. I think he knows what a pillow is. There you go.
Exactly.
It makes me bite it all the time.
Oh my god.
I had
Nibble,
no
nibble.
idea That's where you were going to run with that, DK. But yeah, good on you.
Oh dear God. But Anna had a good comment in the
Oops.
comment in the chat. It's okay. The Pillow Man is also being sued along with the Kraken lawyer lady. Apparently, she's getting
Exactly.
sued as yes, she's getting
Mm-hmm.
sued as well for the
Mm-hmm.
lies that they've told about the election.
Yes, now that the court has said that, oh, by the way, Mike Lindell, you do have to pay the $5 million prize money that you offered this person. You have to pay that. Dominion now has him like definitely in his sights too. I would imagine
Ooh.
Dominion doesn't have to do anything but sue people for the next 3 years. They will make more money. They will make more money on this than they if they were just doing their regular stuff. I don't think they need to worry about voting machine contracts right now or anything
No,
like that.
they don't even have to go to work. They just watch the litigation happen and sit back
Mhm.
and count the cash.
I just need to know
Can't
who
blame
at
'em.
Dominion to send the list to because I got to put like Ben Shapiro and Ken Soldier, all the people on there. I just send the list and just keep going. Just keep going, Dominion. You know, you'll be all right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Almost
You know-
all of Twitter.
You get all those videos on YouTube talking about, oh, do you want to give up your job and start a new life? And they're basically going to start teaching you how to do drop shipping on Amazon. Now all the videos are going to be, do you want to give up and become a billionaire? Learn how to litigate. watch my video and learn.
I hate to tell you, DK, that's already a standard way of life here in America. Like, I don't know, Amy, back me up.
No doubt.
People sue for everything, like
They
for
do.
everything, like even the most common sense thing. I mean, when we had to label cups of hot coffee that the coffee was hot, I lost my mind, right, Amy? I mean, come on.
Yes.
When you have to put
Yes.
warnings on takeout food that says, please don't drink or drive, drink while you're or consume this stuff while you're driving a vehicle or operating machinery. Like, come on, people, really?
Yeah,
Like,
or a
seriously.
packet of peanuts that says may contain nuts.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
know.
Yeah.
Dear God. Well, yeah. Because it's sadly
Mhm.
that's
Yeah, we're just very litigious. It's
very litigious and very
Mhm.
we do find everything to sue for and sometimes it's because of our not so brightness that we end up
Now, but
in
I
the
do
world of
have one
hurts that
problem.
we're in
I,
to feel like we have to sue.
I
Mhm.
do have one problem with you Americans.
Uh-oh.
You're not suing Alex Jones enough.
We
Sue
did
him
though.
some more. No,
We did.
no, yeah,
You-
on one thing, but there must be plenty things you can sue him on.
But
Just keep
you
suing
know,
on a basis.
I
and move
know.
on.
I mean, just his existence alone, I think, right there. But no, that's a little too mean. But
Yeah.
actually, it doesn't really do you any good to sue Alex Jones because you know what he did right after that settlement? He said if
No, he claimed
he just
bankruptcy. didn't he?
he did. He said no one's ever going to get a red cent. He actually went on live. He said, "Send me all your super chat money. It'll go right to me. I'm never giving a penny to the Sandy Hook parents." He said that right
said
after
that.
the verdict, live on his very next show. Like that's how, yeah,
Why
that's how
bother?
they
Just go
roll there.
bankrupt.
Yes, he just
Exactly.
he's got a neon sign that says, "Yes, I am that arse. I admit to being that arse. I don't care I'm that arse. I live being this arse." Like that's it. That's how he is.
Hmm.
Nothing's going to change him. He doesn't
Well,
care he
can I,
lies. He doesn't care who he hurts. He doesn't care what it cost him. He's never
Oh
going to
my
pay.
God.
He's never going to
well,
pay.
I have to. I
No.
have to ask this. I have to ask this then. You know, if he says he's not going to pay out, what's the legal ramifications? I mean, they say that like Fox say, oh, they're going to pay the 787 million, but they never
Per-
do.
Personally,
What's
I've
the
researched.
ramifications of that?
If he gets resued by saying that he purposely claimed that right after the verdict was given that he was gonna claim bankruptcy because his intention was never to play, they can eliminate it from bankruptcy and personally dog him for the rest of his life. But you can't get blood from a stone. There are ways to hide your money. He's going to keep this contract. He's going to keep being out there as a voice and making money doing it. And in you know he's not going to willingly give them a dime. They will have to sue left and right, and people will eventually get tired of it. I mean, these parents, do they actually have the fortitude to just keep suing him to pay? Like, no.
Exactly. Exactly.
It would have to take a whole organization, and I hope the universe hears this one. If they would all just create an organization to make him pay that would spend their time on him the way he's spending his time on not paying, then possibly they could use the system to get him to buckle down and just make his life as miserable as he has made the parents of Sandy Hook since that event. He should
Exactly.
have to have that misery of this dogging him for the rest of his days until he makes it right. Because as far as I'm concerned, even that guilty verdict saying he owes that money, he still hasn't come forward and said enough for those parents. He said, I already apologized. I don't want to do it anymore. That's what he said. Like,
He's
that's not good
gross.
enough. That's not good. He's absolutely disgusting, you know.
He's absolutely disgusting.
Mhm.
Although Ugly German Trues has a good comment about that case we were talking about with the coffee and everything.
Mhm.
He says, I'm no fan of Stella Leibovitz either, but legally there is something onto her case, especially she only sued for medical expenses because the coffee was idiotically hot.
Mhm.
Legal Eagle has a good video on it. The problem our first level courts were ignorant, where ignorant people sit as jury put up such stupidly high penalties, almost everyone afterwards
Mhm.
gets reduced by
Mhm.
the next level court or settled out of
Right.
court.
Right. And it's
That's very true.
what really gets me is that now every one of these like hot cups is labeled with a warning on it like that. And that
Mhm,
everyone's afraid that they're going to get sued for that. But you're right. That one
mhm.
it was extremely, extremely hot and she did get burned. And she didn't try to like take down the company or anything. She just wanted
No, she
what
just
she
wanted
was put out back. And the people that sue that way, like
exactly.
I'm all for it. Like you shouldn't have to suffer damages at the cost of at another that another should pay. Well, she didn't try to take the company down, but just the fact. I mean, some of the advertising labels that you see now here in America are just like, oh my god.
Some of them are a little silly,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
other than that, no, it's yeah, it's not bad.
Mhm.
But we do have an interesting question. And thank you, Shayna Caldwell, for submitting
Mhm.
this one. She says, do you think relatives of Fox viewers who died due to COVID-19 lies will form a class action against them?
Good question.
Mm.
Very good question.
Relatives of the Fox viewer. You know what? That's a whole nother thing. I am waiting to see a class action of COVID
Mhm.
survivors or COVID uh, families, like you said, of people who die of COVID, especially the ones out there on Fox News that said COVID didn't exist, especially the ones
Mhm.
saying it's a conspiracy that the government put together because they wanted us all locked in our homes, like for some reason, which I don't know yet. But
Yes. And
mm,
there were a couple times where they had to walk back statements that they had said about a certain thing. I can't say it because I don't want us to get dinged yet again and
mhm.
have this stream taken down, but the certain thing that everybody had to get that has boosters that go with it, they
Oh gosh, are we back to
some of
that?
the
We can't
things
say that word anymore. I mean, that's how it
I'm
was a
not
couple years ago on YouTube. Really? Oh
well,
my!
I don't
Wow.
trust it anymore. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I figured we should do it. But yes, they had said some erroneous and outright, misinformation on that,
Hmm.
which is another thing that don't get me started on that sort of anti-vax thing. And they
Hmm.
did. They put that out there and I think they had to walk back that. I
Hmm.
don't think they were sued for it, but if I remember correctly, they had to walk back what they said and but people had already heard it. And if they're
Hmm.
already inclined to believe that way, like all the other conspiracies like that we talk about, like that, like it's everything was fake just to keep us in our homes, anything like that, flat earth,
Hmm.
anything like that, it I have a feeling that it's not going to be very good. Yeah.
Well, the important thing, like you say, though, Amy, is like,
Mhm.
they can say shit and apologize for it later, but
Hmm.
once it's been said, it can't be unsaid.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And if you're inclined to be biased in that direction, you've already heard it. It's done. No matter what they walk back or say, and the only thing they'll do is double down and say that
Hmm.
they said this because they had to, because the powers that be forced them to.
Hmm.
That's what they're going to go into. You've seen it
Yeah.
before. in the servers that we frequent on Discord. You know, it's just craziness.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the only thing that they could have in the past been sued for would have been purposeful irresponsible reporting in regards to information that could have been a public service. In other words, about what the government was actually reporting in regards to the pandemic and actually assisting it instead of going against it. Because monetarily, they can't. The families of those that have passed on because of it can't actually sue, because how are you going to correlate that what they said caused that action when actually the action that caused their demise is the actual virus itself. So since they
Exactly.
didn't do, you know what I mean? It would be like a quagmire. They would have to
It would be so
use
hard
some
to
of
prove.
the other laws that we used to have in regards to irresponsible reporting, which don't exist anymore. So it would be it would be very difficult.
It would
Um,
be. It would
yeah.
be.
Actually,
Unfortunately.
if the government got involved, that I would like to
Certainly.
see. Because here's how I look at it. Is it not true that the government had a standard message in regards to the pandemic and what they believed, what they were researching, and what they wanted the American people to do? They came out with a united message. The government did. Okay. The
Mhm.
CDC, all of our organizations, they united. Most of the world agreed with that report, with what we were saying about it. So
Yes.
then, where is the responsibility of large organizations claiming to be a news channel coming out against it with everything they've got? What is that sedition? Are you causing
Yeah.
damage to the American people? There's your lawsuit. Let's get into constitutional law. Let's go there. Let's go. When you're a for-profit company and you want to make profit on damaging American citizens with a message that goes against their actual democracy and government message, where is the penalty for that?
Exactly.
We're about to find out, though, aren't we? Because there's plenty of lawsuits about that going on right now. So, yeah, well, I think Fox has got more to
Absolutely.
worry about than Dominion, actually.
Oh
Did,
my God.
oh,
Yeah.
But does anybody
Yeah.
notice their lack of reporting on any of it? They're not covering campaign speeches right now of a certain person in full. And there's no more,
Please.
can I dial in and talk to the anchors like without knowing what I'm going to say? I get to dial in and talk for a half hour and say whatever I want. There's none of that going on anymore either. So mm, they have
No.
pulled back a bit. At least they're reading the room a little.
Exactly. Exactly. So that should be
Mm.
Ugly German Truths, a Falcon rocket. Well, and Grant is right too. Grant Johnson says too many Americans confuse freedom with freedom. Too much freedom is why the U.S. is in the situation that it's in.
I think that's one of the truest statements I've seen in a long time.
Ever.
Absolutely. Uh,
Well, I ain't gonna pay for
Thank you,
my
Grant.
dumb.
mm.
No, it better be free.
I'm sorry, DK. We all pay for the dumb. We're all paying for the dumb right now.
Sadly,
Yeah.
we do. It's everybody else who has to pay
Mhm.
for other people's dumb. You know, it's like, well, take for example, in my area, somehow a gentleman who, well, I shouldn't even call him a gentleman, but a guy who just got out of prison 4 days prior decided this past week to have a mass murder in my area. So,
Dear God.
yes, four people killed, 3 people injured, one critically, and he was able to get a hold of some guns as a convicted felon who has a rap sheet a mile long. How did he get a hold of those? I was going to say F word, but I refrained. But you
No.
know, I've been thinking about that all week, and it's just been bugging the ever living crap out of me.
Yep. And
You know,
every
it's
day there's one, right? Every day there's one. And yet the
Mhm.
most popular speech at the NRA convention, like over the last week, was some man that got up and claimed that gun owners are the real victims right now. Yeah. That's what I
Mm.
said, Amy. Gun owners. He
That
actually got
is
up.
the
He said feel for us. We're the real victims. Every time there's a shooting, people look at gun owners like, I'm like, are you serious? There's all these dead people, and you're here at the NRA convention saying that you guys are the real
Oh my God.
victims? Your reputation
Amy,
and you people are the real victims. It was too much. It was too
I
much.
say,
Oh
I
my
say grub muffin.
God.
I say grub
Yes.
muffin.
Absolutely.
Muffins before I yes.
Idiot.
Sometimes grub
Absolutely.
muffin just ain't enough.
Yeah. That one
No.
needs a
I'm
the big
so rid-
award, actually. I won't say his name
I'm
because I don't want to
boiling.
give him any more credit than he got, but he actually stood up and said that, and everybody there was very pleased about what he said. Of course, it was an NRA convention, and he was talking to the
Uh-huh.
president of the NRA at the time. But I couldn't believe that they're actually painting themselves as victims. With like just 2 weeks ago, we had over 100 mass shootings, children, like innocent people. A gun owner is not an innocent person, okay, in regards to a shooting or anything like that. I'm not saying they're responsible just because they own a gun, but to claim that you're the victims, your poor fifis are hurt because people are complaining that children are dead. Like,
Then secure your crap.
yeah,
That's one thing I'm going to say this right now. Anybody says, well, take for example the case a few years ago in West Bath, which is fairly close to me. A 2-year-old toddler was able to get a hold of a loaded gun, obviously with the safety off and no trigger lock on it at all,
Mhm.
and shot their parents.
Mhm.
Now, you tell me how responsible that is. And we
Exactly.
have this far too much. And I'm going to try to refrain from having a temper tantrum right here, right now, because it's just ridiculous. But yes, we see it far too often, and we see it far too much, and it needs to stop. You know, you need to. One thing I will say, and I'm sorry, I'm going to swear, and it'll probably get us to a yellow or something on the, but secure your shit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think of me. I don't care what you think of the Second Amendment. I don't care what you think of gun rights. I don't give a shit.
Mhm.
Secure your shit.
You think I don't, like you, Amy, who's out here talking about actual responsible gun ownership? I'm not against responsible gun ownership. I don't know why this man's up there claiming he's a damn victim. I'm like, you're a victim because I don't want like automatic weapons that can shoot like hundreds of whatever at a time, mass
Mhm.
shootings, because I want it to be a little more difficult for those type of assault weapons to be available.
Mhm.
Okay. Like, I don't think you should be walking around the street with them. I don't should not see them in Walmart. I mean, this is crazy. I'm not talking
No,
about
not a
responsible gun
frigging war
owners.
zone.
Right. So,
Right.
put on his big girl panties. That was ridiculous. That
That was
absolutely.
ridiculous.
Because in
And
the scenario that you just said, who's the actual victim there? That child.
exactly. Yeah,
That
a
child.
6-year-old. Are they the
Right.
ones who are harassing and pestering people? A friggin' 6-year-old for getting a
Mhm.
ball out of your yard. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, but that's ridiculous. You know,
That's
and
so
like
fucked.
I said, fine, you want your guns, and if you want one that's big and shoots like shit tons of bullets all at once, sure. If you have small PP syndrome, that's your issue, not mine. I don't care.
Mhm.
Do what you got to do, but secure your shit.
Mhm.
And do not aim it at a kid and shoot at 6-year-olds going in your freaking yard because they're after
Wow.
their ball.
Oh yeah,
That
that
also
was
happened
something
this week.
else.
Or turn around in someone's driveway and they shoot at you because you turned down the wrong driveway on accident.
That's insane. Unless somebody is absolutely
Protection.
threatening your
Fuck
life
you.
on your
No.
property
Jesus.
just
I
because you
know.
have a gun. Oh my God. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think we tighten up the gun laws. It's seriously bad. We need to stop with the gun show loophole, which is
Mhm.
is allowing, private sales to go without being checked.
Mhm. No,
No.
because it's a for-profit industry. The problem is like a twofold. Not only is it in everything that we do in the Constitution, how we started our country, all of that, the right to
Mhm.
bear arms. But I assure you, it doesn't say the right to bear assault weapons against the American people themselves. It doesn't say that. Okay.
No.
It says we have the right to build a militia to protect ourselves, not the individual, the country. Read it right, people. Go back to constitutional law. Go talk to some lawyers. Get a grip. It's not talking about your personal need to have a big gun circumvents everything else that the country stands for and every other American that exists. It doesn't. Your right is not bigger than theirs. Those 6 years olds, those school children, those grandparents, those people in the wrong car, in the wrong driveway, they had just as much right to live than you do. They have more right to live than you do to pack that gun. That's the simple answer to it. You're causing deaths, unnecessary victims because of greed
Mhm.
and selfishness.
Exactly.
Because we're not talking about taking all guns away. Many countries have
No.
taken all guns away first and then gave them back to you little bit by little bit just to solve the problem. We're not even talking about that. We're talking about, can you just come to the table and have a reasonable conversation about making it more reasonable, but the types that are out there and what's going on? Will you at least acknowledge that people are dying every day because you won't talk and negotiate anything? Will you at least acknowledge that? They won't. They won't. They can't have the conversation.
No, they won't. No, nobody's willing to have this conversation, and it gets to the point where you don't even want to send your kid to school because you're afraid of something that might happen.
Mhm.
I mean, the funny thing is, they're all set and quite happy to protect the rights for the unborn child. But as soon as you're born, you're fucked. You're on the streets.
Mhm.
And you're a target. They don't care then.
The last time any legislation moved at all in the United States was when that guy got shot at the baseball game. One of the Republican representatives got shot at one of their games. It was everybody, they were all, senators and congressmen playing, and somebody got shot or something like that. And then all of a sudden, everybody was willing to talk a little bit. And then they started talking about the mental health issues with gun control and stuff. And a little bit got passed, but then it died afterwards because, he got better and everything was fine and he came back, and they just forget. But until one of your own, they're not going to even think about it,
No, no, they won't. So, well, there's my rant on that for the day.
Mhm.
Well, if you're talking about mental health in America, I think most of the people there are crackers.
Sadly.
That's
Mhm.
helpful.
Thanks,
Oh,
TK.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
thank you. We love you too. But
I think most countries, even the ones that are providing decent health care for other people, mental health is the one issue that comes up even in good healthcare countries. They still complain that the mental health part of it, what is available to them and what they can get, is waning. And I think it's just the state of the world itself that's making it more necessary. But they all of them have issues, not as much as here. I mean, I would admit, America, we have a serious issue with it in
Oh,
this regard. Yeah,
we got
yeah.
serious mental health issues in the
Mhm.
UK, and it's just
Yeah.
not being addressed. The only difference is
Exactly.
we're not having a mass
Exactly.
shooting every day.
No, you don't have the mass shooting to go with it.
There's another
Actually.
there's another little side of this too. Like there is people in the chat saying, it's mostly the idiots that own guns that can be the problem. And there is something to that because
Mhm.
up in Canada, we have hunting weapons and all kinds of stuff all over the place, but we don't have per capita even remotely as many shootings because there's there's a difference in gun ownership, culture maybe or something. But like
It's
there's
a
a
huge
lot of
difference.
really responsible gun owners in the United States. And they're
Of
the
course
type
there
of
are.
people that no child could ever get their weapons. But
Mhm.
it only takes a few to create all this chaos. And
A few
I
bad
think,
apples.
and I think as much as we have tighter gun laws, we also just have a more respectful culture when it comes to firearms and weapons in general.
Do you have a
I
registry
agree.
though in Canada? Like everyone who
Oh
owns a
yeah.
gun is Okay, so that's one of
Oh
the
yeah.
problems here is consistency and registration. That
Mhm.
we know everyone who has a gun, and also making it more
Yes.
those that are caught without it, making it more of a severe penalty. Okay. That
Absolutely.
so so the criminal aspect of it is like any kind of crime, gun should be a threefold penalty of whatever the crime is if there was a gun involved. That would kind of deter some of the illegal ones that way. But also just making it more difficult to actually own a gun. Not difficult if you really want to own a gun, then you should, there should be some kind of process that goes not only just registration, but also qualification that actually what smart gun ownership is, how to care for it, how to put it away, what the laws are in regarding it in your area. I don't know. You have to take a you have to take a test to drive a car in America, right?
Yeah.
You get a
You do.
license. Okay.
Yep.
Well, why? And that's a deadly weapon in some cases. Okay, and it has rules and regulations in regards to it, and strict
Mm-hmm.
penalties when you go out of it. Why can't we do the same thing with gun control? You do it on a car. It's possible. Okay, it is possible. In I just think that they just
Exactly.
have to actually be willing to look at it. That's the problem. They're not willing. Every time you even mention it, it's all about taking the guns away. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about
It's not.
just taking all guns away. It's not.
No, that's not even what everybody is asking for. We're just asking for the laws to be tightened up. We do
Mhm.
need to change our culture too. And like Chris Lunde said, the mindset of gun owners is pretty much every other modern country is vastly different than American gun owners. It's just that here we just seem to not care as much about the safety of things. That's what it seems like to me because, and don't get me wrong, a vast number of gun owners are responsible. Hey, even I used to shoot guns. Had been shooting since
Mhm.
I was 5 when I
Same
was
here.
growing up. Yeah, and my father made sure we knew better than to touch the guns. They were secured, they were locked away when we were done, and I only got to shoot the gun
Mhm.
only when dad was there. That's how we did it. And
Mhm.
and so I've been around them. I know what the safety is like. I don't own one now, but well, kind of expensive too. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like but
Mhm.
yeah, and I've told even Matt, even though we don't even own a gun, the importance of being safe around things like that,
Mhm.
and how important it is to be safe around anything, the
Right.
car, you know,
In some
because
states,
that's an
you can just buy a gun. You can just walk
yeah.
in and buy a gun. At gun shows, the NRA lobbied not to
That's fucked.
restrict gun shows because it was detrimental to their business. That you can just go in different states,
Mhm.
that they could have the gun show could be in a state that requires licensing because it's a gun show and the gun show actual people putting it on are in the other state that you don't, they could sell it to you. They actually made loopholes like that. They made it easier when there were some things that prevented some states prevent you from having a gun without registering it or doing some kind of
Mhm.
compliance. Okay, they found every way they could around it. They're actively trying to find ways around any kind of parameters that we put on it. They
Mhm.
just purposely go out of their way because it's affecting their profits. And if anybody doesn't see that it's all about the profits with the NRA, nothing else, you really think that the NRA, it actually stands for your right to own that gun? No, it's their right to make profit on you owning that gun. Get it right.
Exactly.
That
Exactly. They're not there to help you or protect you.
exactly.
They're
Because
after their own
otherwise,
thing.
more people could have guns responsibly to protect themselves if there was good actual parameters put in place where it was safer. Okay. I think it would actually increase their profits in the long run. There wouldn't be all this pushback on it as much as there is. Well, it's easier to make the money this way.
Exactly. Elvin Archer says guns have to be stored locked away in proper metal cabinets separate from the bolt ammo here in the UK, from what my mate, who is a shooter, told me.
Hmm.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting, and that's
Hmm.
good. And
And
Grant John, yeah, there's some craziness going on out there. There's some states are allowing minors to open
Hmm.
carry guns, which is beyond insane. And that's what Grant Johnson said.
What?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ugly
common
German
sense
truth.
laws.
Ugly German truth statement there. is actually, that
Mhm.
just hits me really hard. It's so true here in America. And I don't know about that one, but he says the idea you need a gun to defend yourself is already the problem. I hear you.
Yeah, because
Well, that's it.
well, let me just jump in on that because I heard some some commentary about after the latest mass shooting, and the problem is it seems in America is that the entire country has been whipped up into fear, and
Yes.
everybody is terrified,
That's it.
and that's why one of the reasons is people are quite trigger happy because they're just now terrified as a nation
They
for
are.
whatever reason
Boy.
it could be, possibly. But that's
Ridiculous.
that seemed to be a very, very interesting comment, and
Yeah,
you
if
know that goes on from
you
what Ugly German True says.
it does, and you can pick any topic right now that's going on in social media, and you can see the fear being weaponized. You can see it against all different
It's
classes of people.
constantly.
They are actually weaponizing and terrorizing people about other lifestyles, other people the way they are, everybody feeling threatened. There is actually a tour, the Reawaken tour that Michael Flynn is on right now, where he is actually, and this is, heard it with my own ears, telling them to arm themselves to protect their way of life because the
Yep.
government itself is against the way they live. The good, God fearing Americans, he calls them, get a gun because they want your children. They want your guns. They want your Bible. He told them straight out, get a gun, protect yourselves against the government. I That is just the worst thing I can even think of. That you're actually going to campaign for a different kind of America where
I'm
we have to live in
speechless.
that kind of fear. No, this is Christian nationalism, and he's
It's
loosely tied
disgusting.
to it under this toll. And he's not. He's the one that I'm offended with. They're not all like that. I don't want to say it's all
Mm-mm.
like that. I don't. I think people can believe what they want, but to say that you've got that no one else has the right to
But
live the
it's
way
not
they
helping.
want, because you have certain beliefs and all, and then now you're going to arm yourselves against how anybody else lives is horrifying to me. That is
That
what we
is.
don't. That's the last thing we need.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you got to love that statue of Jesus holding two AR-15s in the air.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Not
Yep.
exactly what Jesus would have put. Not exactly the Christian style to shoot them between the eyes when they disagree with you. No, I do believe he talked a little bit, didn't he? He had a little bit of
Yeah.
understanding, and he tried to do things.
Yeah.
But that's
Although the
just my take.
Christians, but the Christians a few hundred later sure weaponed up pretty quick. But that's a different story.
True. This is true. Mhm.
Oh, I
But
can just see Jesus there. I got two loaves, five fishes, and 2,000 AR-15s. What do you want?
Yeah.
exactly. But I do want to go back to that point that you made about how, we know that not all of the right believe in this stuff
Right.
or believe
Mhm.
anything like that. But, however, what it does though is it does whip up that minority that do believe this way. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, they're the dangerous ones. And those are the ones you have to
Mhm.
watch out for.
Right. And not only
So,
are they
not good.
using guns, they're using children, Amy. Have you noticed? They are
As
using
weapons.
children as weapons against everybody to try to actually make us think so these horrible things about different classes and sections of Americans. They are all Americans, everybody here, but you want to segregate them apart and make them a target in how you feel. And it's got shades of the way other countries kind of did something that was really, really bad. They also weaponized the
Mhm.
whole. I'm saying, all right, it's not the
Weaponized
same thing.
differences.
Before the whole world comes at me, yeah, I know how you are, YouTube. You can come at me, but if you don't see the similarities in the weaponizing and the actual rumor and misinformation about whole classes of people going on right here to try to get everybody angry at whole different sections of American populace
People who
at a
don't
time,
believe as you. Yeah.
right? Anyone who
Mhm.
doesn't agree with you, that is very, very similar. Okay. And then you
Very
put the
similar.
violence that they're calling for on top of it, and how they say that the violence is just what really gets me is when they go and say, well, that's how we make change violence. That's how we're going to do it. And I'm like, no, no. Because the one thing we should learn as a country that is over 200 years old now is no, violence isn't the answer. Nothing that we solved in violence stayed solved. It did not. It had a small reprieve, but it didn't stay solved. We still have the same issues.
Right. And that's the problem. It's the
Mhm.
culture that's our biggest problem right now. And then going back to, when you have misinformation flying around, no one knows what to really believe. You have to take time out of your day every day if you see something on the news to see if it's correct information or not. You have to go, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. And violence, yeah. And they're saying, Jesus, it's just ridiculous. And just, mm, well, it can be, but it's going to be very hard. Because you did ask a valid question, Dick. You would
Yeah.
have to have, I believe it's what, 2/3 of the states vote yes to repeal an amendment. Is it, Claire? I'm thinking. I'm
It
trying to
has to be
remember
a
from
quorum. I
civics.
do believe it's a quorum, and a quorum is usually 2/3. So yeah, I
Yes,
believe it's
yes.
2/3. Yeah.
And you never get that. You'll never get that
No,
because
not in today's climate.
mm-mm,
Although things are
Never.
or ever,
changing, they're
ever.
changing a little bit.
Mhm.
Some things about the speakers and all are getting called out. McCarthy's been caught in some lies and reporting. Jim Jordan's been put on text for actually misquoting an actual legal document, a deposition, in running with it, and people are actually putting it out there. Some things are changing, but they actually have to care about their reputations and getting caught about a lie for it to make any difference. And I'm waiting to see if it's going to finally sink in. That, but mm, a whole quorum is going to be pretty tough in
It's
anything.
it's going to be impossible.
I mean, the last one would have been when we were doing healthcare, maybe 10 years ago, more, right? And that was tough. That was really tough. And
Yeah.
it made it through by one vote.
Yep.
It's like, so I don't see it happening anytime soon
No.
because this
Well,
subject is even worse, is
well, it
even
is.
tougher than the
We
healthcare
couldn't get
one.
the
Yeah.
we couldn't even get the ERA amendment passed.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Well, because damn, when you're talking about you only want one way of life in America, the last thing you want to do is give everybody equality or rights just
Oh,
like you.
jeez.
I mean,
Oh,
damn, that would be very detrimental to their cause. No wonder they're working so hard. Jeez, like, oh,
exactly. That's why
yeah,
they gotta hang on to those things.
all right, yeah, got to keep us down. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Especially those of us who don't have kickstands.
yeah. Oh God, that's not even funny, Amy. Like I can't even. I was
Oh,
like,
we
it's funny and it's
try.
not funny. I know it's funny and it's not funny. It's like
I know.
it's so true. It's funny and it's so true. It hurts at the same time. Like I can't tell you. It's like, oh, well,
Yeah. I know. It's crazy. But yeah. Anyway.
mhm,
So, I know, but it's
mhm,
then the environment right now is so bad.
mhm,
We just came off the pandemic. Now we've got this massive inflation. We've got, the cost of living crises everywhere. We
mhm.
do have a lot of stuff going on, and I get that. And it's just everything is just seems to be really chaotic at this time.
Mhm.
Well, there was a
But
comment in the
now is the
chat
time
was
that's
correcting me, Amy. They said
okay.
someone, I can't remember who it was now. They said we're not terrified, we're angry. Do they go hand in hand?
I think they could. I think I'm both at any given moment. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
As far as the zones of regulation are concerned, you can be in two zones at once. Ask Matthew.
Mhm. Two things can be true at the same time.
Yes, they can. Yes,
Mhm,
they can. And that's something that we talk about all the time when I'm working with Matthew.
mhm,
You can feel terrified, you can feel angry at the same time
mhm.
and
Because
frustrated.
mhm,
You could feel all kinds of things all at once.
mhm. I'm angry because I can see what they're doing with how they're
Mhm.
pushing this agenda. So I would say I'm very angry about that, and I'm terrified because I see it working on certain populations. I actually
Exactly.
see it working. I see the move. I see it actually affecting people, and that terrifies me that they may be
Mhm.
successful in actually causing change that the majority of Americans do not want. Because when it comes down
Exactly.
to it, we're talking about a small fractions of Americans with a big voice and a lot of money
Mhm.
behind them. But when it comes to voting, which they won't let us do, let's be very clear about that. They won't let us vote on it because they know 70 to 80% is going to come back a negative against what they want. They're going to come back
Exactly.
and I don't believe the way you believe, but everybody, this is America, gets the right to choose, period. But they're not
Exactly.
going to let you vote on it. That's the thing. But
Mm-mm.
that is what terrifies me is that they're getting other people to believe this stuff and getting them
And
more fearful. Yeah.
exactly. And then the frustration because there's not much we can do about it at the moment. Is not knowing what to do is the most frustrating, and that can cause fear and anger as well, and despair. So a lot of sadness sometimes comes from it because seeing what's going on now, it's very hard.
Yeah. Well, to circle back, because this is started with Dominion and Fox, do you actually
Hmm.
think this Dominion lawsuit win? Because it is a win, even though it's a
It
settlement.
is.
It's a slam
It's
dunk.
technically, yeah.
Do you do
Oh
you
yeah.
see that helping at all in this climate of misinformation that we got going on, which is
Uh,
only helping the other agenda greatly?
It's a tiny battle that was won, but in the whole war that's going on, but it could be. I'm hopeful. I guess that's another thing that
Mhm,
you could add to the list of emotions that you can feel all at once. Yes, hope
mhm,
still can be in play. Yeah, I still feel hopeful that, you know, it's who knows.
mhm.
Who knows? Maybe it might be a turn in the right direction against misinformation because there's far too much of it out there. I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
well, look at the
There,
stuff I deal with every day as an autism parent.
mhm,
It's just hearing you know, I'll be nice, the people, I won't call them idiots. I try not to anyway, but the people who spew all the anti-vax rhetoric
mhm,
do make life difficult every single freaking day. And you have to deal with that,
mhm,
and I've dealt with it ever since he was diagnosed. Of course, the newer stuff from recent events has, also added to it. So, but yeah, and it's brought it back to the forefront again. And yeah, I would hope that we're moving in the right direction now and that hopefully we will get better information. Um,
well,
so
look, we have to be honest about this. The Fox News is just literally the tip of the iceberg.
it
it
is.
is. Sadly, it
All the
is.
other shit happens in social media, on YouTube, Facebook,
Mhm,
Twitter,
Totally.
Mhm.
the all over the internet. That's where
true.
all the shit
But
is
here's
being disseminated,
yeah.
sent out
But
to people.
But here's where I see like a little bit of hope. I've already seen Fox change their coverage. They have reduced the one-sidedness about full campaign speeches and just saying all this stuff. They haven't mentioned anything about the voting lawsuits and things like that. They did come a little bit hard about the indictment, and I don't blame them. I mean, even on this side, we've got a lot to say about that, but I do see a little bit of a change there. And I also, because if you look at the size of the network that the family, Rupert Murdoch and his family own, in regards to social media alone, how many magazines, news organizations are they in control of? And they are going to be taking a big hit. And their hit is going to be on the allowing of misinformation. I do see the tides changing. Those that are aware and can read a room are going to see that eventually they too will be paying millions of dollars if they don't right their ship now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think even these smaller ones, they're going to make their money now. They are going to be out there with loud voices. But if you don't start to read the room, that the court system can be used against you this way because we do have laws against it, there are consequences. Maybe it will help. And maybe then it'll become less profitable to just sign on to an agenda because somebody's lining your pocket. Okay. It should
Mm-hmm.
be. Okay.
It should be.
There should be more pushback on everyone in Congress, in the Senate, in the United States that takes money from the NRA right now. If that's not a biased agenda pushing, no obvious red flag, what the hell do you think you're doing moment? But they're allowed to now because we actually rolled back all of the things that protect us against that. Americans got to start forcing these organizations not to be allowed to police themselves. Okay? They make their own raises, they make their own rules, they roll back their own guidelines. In the
Exactly.
law, too. Right now, we have a Supreme Court justice who actually admitted that he took vacations and also some rich financier, never reported it. And as a Superior Court judge, the highest court that we have, a lawyer in one of the highest positions we have said,
Mhm.
I wasn't aware of that law that I had to report anything like this. Bullshit. You just ignored it. What kind of a lawyer comes out and says, oh, first of all, we all know ignorance of the law is never a defense. And that Superior Court judge just tried to use that with the American people. He released a statement saying that. I'm like, no. And he's allowed that organization polices itself. That's not good enough. There needs to be somebody else on top, like policing them. Obviously, they're not able to do it themselves. When you let a group of people be in charge of whatever they do amongst themselves, they're going to do whatever the hell they please, regardless of whether they say they're working for the people. When the people don't get to vote on it, how the hell are you working for the people, Amy? How? When we don't
Good
get to vote
question.
on any of it, anything that Congress in legislation has done in the last 5 years, what have we got to vote on?
Nothing.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I'm a disgruntled
Gold.
employer right now. They work for me, and I want all of them fired
Yes.
now. I want them all fired.
Yeah.
Fire their butts.
All of them. None of them are doing it. I am a disgruntled employer. You all should join me. The United States is a disgruntled employer. They are not doing their job.
Can I
Fire
Well, you're
go
gonna
them.
have
rant
to.
too?
You're gonna have to talk to Shirley and Human Resources for America. So,
Oh God,
yeah.
I hate Shirley. Don't call me Shirley. No. It's always Shirley.
you
We're
can't
gonna
be
go rant.
serious.
Fire Shirley first, damn it. Get out of here. Like, fire her first, and then we'll go. Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
And we should fire them. We should, and I want to
no,
have
we don't
a
get to
chance
vote.
to rant. We don't. And I would love to go in front of Congress and give them a piece of my mind.
Mhm.
They wouldn't like it.
I
Oh,
expect
that would
my
be
email address to
hilarious.
be blocked, and he's sick it now. Like, Hmm. But I do hope the case actually does shine some light on it. I do think that
I
it's
think
not,
so.
like I said when we started, it's not over with the settlement. It's a long,
Mm-mm.
there's a lot more coming out
It's
about
just the
this.
beginning.
Because they did set some legal precedent there. They've got it in writing that the Fox employees themselves sold the whole company out as far as it was defamation. They did not check their sources. They knew it. Some of them actually admitted they knew the story was false. Right. There you go.
Exactly.
They sold it down the drain.
Down the drain it went. They did. And I do think I am watching for a shareholders lawsuit. That's got to happen. It's all about money. And half the profits of a year is a big deal for a company like Fox. So, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Certain somebody's in the chat there, Amy.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm keeping an eye on him.
Do you think there'll be
But he said hi.
a new chairman of the Murdoch family after all of this misstep by Rupert? Because after all, he did just cost them $787 million. You think there's a nephew in the wings waiting to take over?
Could be.
Mm.
Could be. So we'll
He
have
is
to see.
82 years old. He's 82.
Well,
Not that he can't still do it. I'm
his-
not going on him at his age. I'm just saying, like, it might be.
his nephew's allowance is going to be down for a bit.
Mm.
Yeah. Son, we're going to have to return the Lamborghini, but good news, we got you a Camry.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. I think the next one will be that, that smart metrics. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Smartmatic. Yeah,
Smartmatic. Thank you.
that's
See,
a
everybody
UK
messes that
company.
one up.
I believe that's
Yeah.
the UK one. Yeah. That one's for 2.7. and they could at least get
Ooh.
787 million out of it, but I'm sure they'll go for more since their suit is for more money than Dominion's was. And
Ouch. Yep. So they
I
could.
was wondering why they haven't settled that already. Like,
I
because, you
know.
know, with the judge saying the defamation was proof solid, I mean, that was very detrimental to the case. I mean, what is the, how is Fox actually going to even, you know, counter that? What are they going to say? You know, what could
Well, that's it.
possibly be the defense? They can't use that they didn't say it or it wasn't true. Like, I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Unless they file bankruptcy or fold the company before the lawsuit happens, you know, there's that.
Absolutely. We have a super chat. We have one from CF Beauty. Thank you so much. Our very own CF Beauty says, for 10 American dollars, the Shills ladies are on fire tonight. Wow.
Oh, wow. Can
How
Thank
I
you
just,
so
sweet.
much.
oh, Amy, I just got a hot DM, an article that I'm going to share. Apparently, there is a shareholder who's already suing Rupert for this whole fiasco.
Oh my
Ooh.
Oh, I'll
gosh.
drop it for you.
Ooh.
You might want to,
Yep.
that might give you giggles to read. Let me just drop that in the green room. And thank you, Anna. I hope you're not embarrassed I said
Yes,
your name,
thank
but thank
you.
you, Anna. I appreciate
Cool,
it. And
cool.
thank you, Discord, for cooperating and letting me actually open a DM. So there you go. Ah, hmm.
I know.
Can you see it? It's from Reuters. I think you can open Reuters, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Excellent, excellent.
Oh. Oh, that should wrap everything up nicely, I think, actually.
Oh,
There's
I
yeah.
think
the
so.
lawsuits have started. Yay.
Woohoo! We're gonna see a lot more coming through, and well, keep it up. Well, this is what happens. Whee! So that's awesome. Look at this.
Coming thick and fast. Oh, yeah. They're not going to
Oh
like
yeah,
it.
it is. No, they will not.
Mhm.
Do I see Donald Trump? Matt asks.
Yes.
You might. You might see him in there.
You know what? You might,
Yeah.
if he starts talking during this campaign, because he's not president right now, he doesn't have immunity just while he's campaigning. He could get sued for what he says. That's what's going on in his suit with E. Jean Carroll. They got the statements while he was president, and then they have the ones after he was president. And he actually, they let that civil suit go against him for after. And it's still
Yes.
in the Supreme Court. It's still in the Supreme Court waiting. It got kicked back from Washington, said they don't have enough about the employer. They kicked it back to
Exactly.
Manhattan. But that's going to be interesting to see if that one still goes through. But I
There was
think
a
that he made the
there was a
most comments, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
just got to jump in here. There was a great question from the chat. Mish Ashdown says, can Fox sue Trump?
Um,
I'm not sure what,
I wonder. I'm not sure.
I'll
would
tell
be
you.
kind of
I'll
hilarious.
tell you what. If Fox gets to sue Trump for believing every asinine thing he said, then women all over the world have gonna line up to sue every one of their exes. This is gonna be brilliant. I want to see this go through. If they actually could sue him just for believing this stupid stuff that came out of his mouth, because listen, I mean, they were a little naive, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah, so if they actually could sue for it, wow, that's going to be a whole nother thing. Like, if you could sue, if just because somebody made you believe it, yeah, mm, I don't know.
Oh, man.
Mm.
That's funny.
Exactly. Oh my God, that'd be too funny. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes, Trump.
I would think it's going to be the other way. If there's going to be a suit, it's going to be Trump suing them, encouraging
I'm gonna.
his campaign by not actually coming out and supporting him and settling with Dominion as if it's not true when he knows the whole thing's true and they're just folded and are
True.
conspiring against him in some way to work with the
Yeah.
government. Yeah. Mm.
Matt said, "I'm gonna sue Trump. Who's with me?"
Yeah, and you know what? Chris Durham Music, he's actually corrected us. It's not that Fox believed it. They never believed the damn thing. They actually just spread it. They knew it was a lie and they
Yeah.
just spread it. So what are they gonna sue? How are they gonna sue Trump for that? Like it's not like he told them it was the truth. And even if he did say it was the truth, who would believe him? Like, come on, like without
That's
like
right.
checking it out. So I don't know what else they could sue him for. Hmm. I don't know.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
god. Oh, that's too funny. I love it. Put my son in there. Are you gonna sue Trump with me? He asked you, Dick.
I'm in, buddy. I'm in.
It's almost like everybody in America at some point are going to be assimilated, and they're all going to be litigation lawyers. The entire nation are just litigation lawyers, just suing each other left, right, and center. Just a grey goo
Oh,
of lawyers.
I need a board sound effect. I don't have anything that would go with that. Too bad. Oh, sort of. It's Star Trek, it's close.
Resistance is futile.
I think we
Yeah.
should be able to sue Trump just for the amount of increase in my over-the-counter medication use of Tylenol
I
on a
know.
regular basis. I think budgetary, he's really put me in dire straits here.
I
Yes,
know. I
yes.
should own stock in Aleve, but
Yeah, I'm gonna research that if I can actually find the average headache days in a year and prove the increase that he gave me and the decrease in actually pain-free days that I had, like since I've heard his name. I don't know. We might have something there. More people would be able to get away with that one, I think. I mean, he does give people a headache. He literally
he
does.
does. He
Yeah.
does. He's not good. No, true. And some of the things he said has made me go, "Ugh," a
Mm.
lot. So,
You see, I tell you, there's one sad thing I really wish I could go at him for is that my grandson had a love of the presidents. He was the kind of kid, he
yes.
researched every single president. He knew everything they did, how long they served, what they lit, when they
Mr.
were born,
Manton.
when they died, whatever they did, even their wives, what their programs were. He was that into it. Okay. And
Wow.
And now it's
then
gone.
then the Trump election happened. And his school held an
Oh.
election where Trump did not win. And he was watching all the news channels and everything, and he was looking at the reporting. And then when Trump won, he threw that all away. He said he would not. He said, "I'm sorry. That's not right. I don't know what's wrong with America. I don't have time to figure it out, but I'm done with this." And he was like 11. He's
Oh.
11. He's done with it. He's just done with presidencies at 11. That's really rather sad. And I think I should have the ability to sue Trump for that. He just banished a young child's dreams of being
I know.
president one day. You
I
know,
know.
Yep.
although
Or
he
a
could do it.
historian.
Yeah, he did. He said he wanted to be president, but now since this happened, why bother? It's not really anything he wanted to go for anymore.
That's
Yeah, he
too bad.
basically
thought that was
pulled
sad.
Elvis and shot the TV. I'm done.
Yeah, you
Finished.
know, and in some states happened if he lived there, but he doesn't. He lives here in Jersey, so no, that didn't happen, But anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, that's our right too. We can talk about Trump. I'm sorry. I know it upsets some people, but
I'm sorry. We don't, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry,
I'm
but
not.
it's the truth. I mean, no, I'm sorry if they're upset. Like, you should be
I'm
able to
sorry you're
accept a little
upset, but
bit of pushback. You have to admit in the humor of the situation a little bit. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
taking that man 100% serious, then you are who he's looking for because he doesn't even take himself 100% serious. Okay.
wow.
Because here on the East Coast, we got a lot of experience with him, his whole business career, his whole damn life before you all were exposed to him on the rest of the country over there. Like if you actually think he's taking this serious, it's a grift. He is the most famous LARPer we've ever met. Come on, people, really? Like
Mhm.
Well, it's not just
I
that.
know.
It doesn't matter what side of the political fence he is.
Mhm.
Every politician is open to scrutiny, and they should,
Every
you
single
know,
one of them.
yeah.
Mhm.
And if we stop doing that, then they win. We
That's
have
it.
to look at
Yes,
them.
they
We
do.
have to look at
Exactly.
all of them, every single one of them.
Yep. I assure you, I laughed at all the doddering jokes about Biden. He is acting like he's much older now and he is like making mistakes. Now, I laugh at that stuff when you make those jokes. I ain't going to sit here and go, oh, you can't talk about Biden. Of course you can. There's a lot there to make fun of. There really
No,
Well,
is.
yes, there
Go
is.
for it.
Well, I
Don't think
kind of
we're
get frustrated.
Bidenites just because we talk about Trump. I mean,
Yeah, really.
and
Yeah,
we are exercising our right to talk about him because we have the right to talk about him. We're not pulling the
Mhm.
misinformation card here. We're not doing what Fox did. And
No,
we
and
have a right to we have a
we
right to
do.
be disgusted with the way the country is headed. I am very disgusted with what I've been seeing as of late, and I have every right to say that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
I kind of get frustrated on social media, seeing my friends, like talking about, oh, this Conservative Party member did this, that, and oh, he's a nasty piece of work, and he's an idiot, and he's to be kicked out, and then but totally ignore all
Mhm.
the people that they support who've done shitty and
Mhm.
nasty things. They just totally ignore that. They're always like fighting against the other side, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
you got to look at them all. You got to look at the people you support and the people you're against. And if you just give the people you support a free rein, then politics is good done.
Exactly. And
I
it's
Yep. Yep.
go on.
I have a
Exactly.
thing that I think would really help modern politics. Make it illegal to talk about your opponent. You have to talk about yourself, the dirt. You can't do that anymore. Tell
No,
us what you're
exactly.
going to do. Make us
Mhm.
educated when we vote. That's what we
Yeah.
need.
Yeah, speak on the
Yes.
issues. Exactly.
Unfortunately, Dick, the politics hasn't changed since the Roman Empire.
Yeah,
It's
there
still
are no
Yeah.
nothing like
issue.
that.
There's no
Neither
issue-based
has
politics
humanity.
anymore. Not anymore. It's all character assassination. But for those upset that they were talking about Trump, you must forget, or actually, please don't forget, the topic that we were talking about today was the Dominion laws against Fox News for saying the election results were bad. And that story
Who
goes
was
all back
involved
to
in
the
that?
origination. The first one
Who
to
was
start
involved in
that
it?
BS would be Trump. Okay, so I'm sorry. That's how we got looped in here, and you can't
It's kind of
really
the
deny
topic.
that one. Fox
Nope.
Do you
admitted
think?
himself that he
Do
was
you
the one
think?
providing information. Him and
Do
his
you think?
campaign.
Do you think January 6th would not have happened if Fox News wasn't, running with this, or do you think that would have still happened because of all the shit that goes on, in the
Social media
inside the
would have
internet?
brought it there anyway, I think.
I would say
Yeah.
I
there
think
were a
so.
lot more than Fox News reporting on it, and it was actually a campaign of actually trying to
Fox News is
incite
too
riot
fun.
about it, to say that the government was doing something against the people, to try to get people all riled up, that everything was fake and lie, and they're lying to you. They're trying to convince you about these election results. I think that would have drummed up people anyway, especially since
Right.
it was such a constant message coming out of that White House at the time.
Exactly.
Everybody that worked
Exactly.
with him. He had lawyers saying it. And by the way, the lawyers that are currently sanctioned by the Bar Association, by the way, lawyers who currently cannot practice law because they lied through their teeth about these stuff. Let's not forget the issue. This was a misinformation
He's central
campaign
to it.
from the start because somebody didn't want to take the L. And
Exactly.
okay, this is just my opinion. This is not the Shills, the channel, or anyone else. Because they needed the state president to prevent the future indictments, because he had to have that immunity clause to prevent the whole well of caca he was walking into for everything else he did. He was fighting tooth and nail to keep that in place. And
Yep.
he lost it.
It
And
makes
he
a
Now,
thought
fucking
he
butt
had it.
ton of sense.
Okay. All right.
now,
And so
He's the
just
source of it.
he's the yeah. And so
now,
we'll just put it where it is. He was the mouthpiece. He started it. They've got videotape of him doing it. They got audio tape of him doing it. They have every damn Fox interview of him up there on that phone, calling in, talking about the election results, getting all of those anchors all involved in it. Dominion sued because of that. And if they want to blame anybody, if Fox, don't blame the anchors, don't blame anybody else. Maybe you should be talking to Trump if you want to get your money back. Although
There's your
think
source.
I don't think he has any money to give you, Fox. Though you look at where all his money's going to be going with the 23 lawsuits he's got going on. Anyway,
That's
Exactly.
correct me if I'm wrong. Fox knew full QAnon conspirator, did they?
yet no,
No. Closed.
not QAnon. Not
No, they didn't
QAnon.
get that. No,
But-
QAnon
but-
has some really kooky stuff that they've been
No.
saying. Like they say that JFK Jr. is still alive and things
Yeah,
like that, and he's
they
going to run
have
for
got-
presidency.
They've got pretty close to like the government is all against you. You need to look further. They've gotten pretty close to that line though. On
They
several
have.
of the
They've
issues. Yeah.
skated close to some lines, but not the more quote unquote mainstream conspiracy theories they have, but not the far out ones, because Q runs the gamut with all of them. They have some that are, like just the election fraud. Then you have way in left field kooky ones like JFK is still alive, JFK Jr. is still alive, and he's going to run for president.
Dear Lord.
All of yes, all of that. So yeah,
Well,
there's a
I've seen
whole
the
bunch of
video.
things.
JFK actually caught that bullet in his teeth. I've seen the video.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's funny.
I know. I. Before we wrap up, there's just one quick question left. Shayna Caldwell says, what do you think about the U.S. having proof that Netanyahu was interfering in the 2016 election for Trump?
That's
I didn't
big.
know that. That's big.
How was he interfering? That's what I want to know. Like I've heard this rumor too. What are they saying he did to interfere? Do you know?
I
Is it
don't
Probably
know. I've never
IT
heard
related,
this.
you know.
Could
Yeah.
be. Could be. Could be misinformation campaigns. I don't know, because that seems to be the most popular. Like the troll farms. Maybe he was also doing some. Maybe.
Or maybe he was at the polling stations with a big box of kittens.
Yeah.
Come and
Well,
look at these kittens.
That's the
instead.
thing. When they say like Trump didn't start this election stuff, maybe they should like go back and look at some of his campaign speeches and some of his rallies that he was doing. He most certainly did. He called it a fraud from the start. He said the whole process was. He actually set it up before the election. If you got to go back and look, it's very well laid out.
Wow.
It was obvious. You just go back and look at a couple of them. He was dropping the seeds all along. That if he lost, this is what they were going to do. Say the whole thing was a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It was part of his campaign speech. If we lose the election, it's going to be because the government doesn't want us in there, because they don't want you to have power. This is what he was saying.
You funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Exactly.
I wish I didn't have such a good memory on this. This is why the overuse of Tylenol. You see what I mean? I really need to go for the man. He owes me some money at this point, don't you think? Like, really, seriously, like for my
There's
Tylenol
nothing
alone.
wrong with your memories.
No, there's not actually. No, there's not actually.
Isn't that a
That's
song?
And I'm American, and my accent does me in every time. Like every time. And I'm American, for crikey. But still, okay.
As am I.
I know.
I know. He's. That's
I can't wait to see the DMs now. Like this is gonna be like thanks. I'm forwarding them to you, DK. Just so you know.
Well, stop sending me all those dick pics.
Well, no, I don't. I can't help it. I rerouted them every time Dick sends a pic. It just goes right to you.
Jesus Christ.
I
So,
know.
Amy,
That's
you
the
said
time right
raps,
there.
right?
Yeah,
Yes,
I was gonna say, did you got that memo right, Dick? Like that was raps. There you go.
Yes, plus I'm mothering too at the same time. This isn't good.
Oh my
Yes. I'm mothering in the chat too. Spamming, no spamming. Yeah,
Oh,
no
no.
spamming,
Yeah.
Maddie, okay? So- all right. righty. So I think that we had such a wonderful show. And I want to thank everyone for coming. And I want to thank everyone in the chat for participating and having a good conversation and and everything like that. So thank you. And yes, it's good to have, opposition as well. Oh, geez, he's spamming, no spamming. Okay, great. But anyway, so I do want to thank everyone for coming, and I want to thank everyone in the panel for coming as well. We always have a great time doing these shows, and we did have some articles to look at, but we didn't really have to tonight, which is really kind of cool. So so yes. So thank you so much, everyone. And I just want to say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
I'm
everybody.
very, very, very sorry.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.